The first sign that something was very wrong came on a warm, sunny morning when the sunlight filled every room of the big house. Every room except the bedroom of little Arya Volmont, while birds sang outside and the world felt full of life. Her room sat strangely quiet, wrapped in a silence that didn't feel right for a child's room. Arya lay pale on the huge white bed. Her breathing was weak, her skin was cold and sweaty, and her eyes looked less bright each day. Her father, Mr. Rowan Volmont, one of the country's most powerful businessmen, had spent millions of dollars on doctors, special doctors, and treatments. But nothing ever got better. It was like something invisible was stealing her energy, draining her strength from the inside, and no one knew why. If you're watching this and you believe in kindness, healing, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. It helps our stories reach more hearts. Rowan wasn't a mean man, but sadness had made him hard. Losing his wife when their baby was born had left him broken, and watching Arya suffer every day brought back pain he thought time had healed. He spent his days burying himself in work, believing money could fix anything. While at home, Arya slowly faded like a candle burning out. Her room was always kept perfectly clean. The curtains were pulled just enough to soften the light, and the smell of medicines hung in the air. She barely smiled anymore, barely talked, barely lived. Then came Nora Celeste, a quiet nanny with calm eyes and a presence so gentle it almost felt like a whisper. She wasn't hired because she had an amazing work history. She didn't have one. Rowan hired her because Arya, who didn't talk to anyone, had touched her hand the first day Nora came to visit. That one simple action was enough. Nora moved into the big house and gave all her time to taking care of Arya, watching everything carefully. She noticed that Arya's energy dropped quickly in her room, but got a little better when she was taken to the garden. She noticed how Arya often woke up shaking as if scared by something she couldn't see. She noticed small changes in her breathing whenever she lay near the floor. Something wasn't right. The more Nora watched, the more she felt the room itself was hurting the child. Not the air, not the temperature, something else. She cleaned, organized, changed the sheets, removed flowers, changed the lighting, checked for things that cause allergies, and looked in every corner she could see. But still, Arya got worse. One afternoon, as sunlight moved across the rug, Arya drifted into a restless sleep. Her fingers twitched, her forehead wrinkled, and her breathing became weak again. Nora's heart beat fast. She walked around the bed, her gut feeling pulling her downward. Something she couldn't explain, told her to look underneath. Nora knelt down, slowly lifted the white bed skirt, and froze. There, hidden in the dark space, sat a wooden chest, old, cracked, and strangely out of place in a modern house. Dust covered its edges, but the items inside were arranged very carefully. A faded black and white photo of a serious-looking woman, a rusty locket, dried herbs tied with old string, an old rosary, and pieces of handwritten paper covered in symbols Nora didn't recognize. These were not toys, not forgotten treasures. They were placed there on purpose and felt very disturbing. Her throat tightened as she realized something else. The air under the bed felt heavy, almost thick, as if something trapped there had been waiting to be found. Fear crept up her back, but she forced herself to stay calm. She knew Arya's life depended on this moment. Just then, Rowan walked in. His footsteps stopped suddenly as he saw Nora kneeling there. His hand flew to his mouth. His face twisted with shock and fear because he recognized the photograph even before Nora lifted it. It was his mother-in-law, a woman who had hated him, a woman who had promised he had ruined her daughter's life, a woman who had died before Arya was even born. Rowan dropped to his knees beside Nora, the color draining from his face. He explained in a shaking voice that after his wife died, her mother had tried to place protective charms around the baby. Old cultural rituals meant to keep a child safe from harm. But Rowan had ordered everything removed years ago, believing in science, not superstition. He thought the workers had cleared it all, but someone, somewhere, had placed this box back under Arya's bed, not to protect her, but seemingly twisted into something else, something darker. Nora gently removed each item, her fear mixing with urgency. As soon as the chest was pulled into the open, Arya stirred. Her breathing grew stronger. Color returned faintly to her cheeks. It happened almost right away, like the room itself took a breath of relief. Nora and Rowan looked at each other with stunned, terrified faces. That night, Nora insisted Arya sleep in the guest room beside her. And for the first time in months, Arya slept peacefully. No shaking, no weak breaths, no cold sweats. Days passed and Arya, once pale as winter, began to smile. She gained strength, walked in the garden, painted with bright colors, and even laughed softly when Nora braided her hair. Rowan watched from far away, feeling overwhelmed with emotion, realizing how much he had failed to see while drowning in his own sadness. He had believed money could cure anything, but what his daughter needed most was attention, gentle human attention, and someone who cared enough to look beneath the surface, both literally and emotionally. One afternoon, Rowan found Nora sitting with Arya by the window, reading a story. The sunlight filled the room with a warm glow, and Arya leaned comfortably against her. Rowan felt something inside him relax, something that had been tight for years. He thanked Nora, not with big speeches or gifts, but with honesty in his eyes, and a heartfelt promise to become the father Arya deserved. Nora stayed with them, not just as a nanny, but as a guiding light, helping Rowan rebuild a home filled with warmth instead of silence, hope instead of sorrow. The wooden box was taken far from the house and locked away, and though they never learned who put it back under Arya's bed, Rowan no longer looked for answers. All that mattered was that Arya was healing because someone cared enough to pay attention when everyone else looked away. If this story moved you in any way, please like the video, comment, share it with someone who might need a little hope today, and make sure you're subscribed to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us continue bringing emotional and meaningful stories to the world. Before we end, special request. Comment below what part of the story touched your heart the most. And remember, sometimes healing begins the moment someone decides to care.